Okay, let's start a topic. I have presented the screen to you. Today we are going to discuss the topic of yellow journalism. So, what is yellow journalism? Yellow journalism, the use of lurid features and sensationalized news in newspaper publishing to attract readers and increase circulation. The phrase was coined in 1890 to describe the tactics employed in the furious competition between two New York City newspapers, The World and The Journal. They are saying yellow journalism is what when news are actually written to make it sensational. So that is what you call yellow journalism. They are saying how it has started. It has started between the fight of two papers, The World and The Journal of New York City, in which they have first introduced this term yellow journalism. Now they are giving you the brief introduction. Like Joseph Pulitzer has purchased New York World in 1883 and using colorful, sensational reporting and crusades against political corruption and social injustice, had won the largest newspaper circulation in the country. So this is the very first thing when it has started. Mr. Joseph Pulitzer from a New York World, he has started, publishing colorful and sensational reporting against the corruption and social injustice, and he has won the heart of people, and that is how the circulation it has increased. But his supremacy means his kingdom was challenged in 1895 by William Randolph when he started his rival, paper, that was the Journal. Hearst, who had already built the San Francisco Examiner into a hugely successful mass circulation paper, soon made it plain that he intended to do the same in New York City by outgoing his competitors. It's not plain, it's basically plan. So made it plan that he intended to do the same in New York City. So his rival, William, who has started the journal in front of the world, and he has also, shown to the owner of the world, Joseph Pulitzer, that he is a successful, can say businessman, and very soon he is also going to challenge him and will increase his circulation as well. So he has also taken the same road of making the news sensational, and he has used this thing in Sunday features. So he started, like, even in India, I would say this thing, like we have a special features which comes on Sunday, and so this has been started by the journal in the history. He brought some of his staff from San Francisco and hired some away from Pulitzer's paper. So he brought some of the people from San Francisco, California, and some he has hired from already working paper, that was the New York World. So this is how he actually, created his own empire. Basically, the person who was taken from the world, that was the cartoonist Richard F. Outcalt. He was very famous cartoonist at that time, so that's how he has taken him out, because he was quite capable of increasing the mass circulation with his satirical cartoons, and the name of his cartoon feature was the Yellow Kid. So that is how, some of the people, they have said that, like, this is how, the term yellow journalism it has came into existence. The two rival picture series excited so much attention that the competition between the two newspapers came to be described as yellow journalism. So this is what they are saying. So this competition, this era of the competition, that is how it is known as yellow journalism. They're saying era of yellow journalism was very short. It ended after the turn of 20th century with the world's gradual retirement from the competition and sensationalism. So the world has started, decreasing its news from making it sensationalized. Some techniques of the yellow journalism period, however, became more or less permanent and widespread. But there are few things which have got a long imprints. So that was yellow journalism, because they have said that whether we are saying that, uh,
Good morning,
the
sir.
good morning, Ji. So whether we say this thing that, a lot of things it has changed, or world was trying to, come back from the yellow journalism or making the news sensational, but few things or few techniques, it has become permanent. A lot of other people, those who have come, they have also started, following these things. So, such as banner headlines, colored comics, copious illustration. In other media, most notable television and the internet, many of the sensationalized practices of yellow journalism become more commonplace. Whether the world has thought of ending this thing and stopped making this news sensational, but it did not take away the total impact of yellow journalism. So that is how what it has happened. We are seeing these days, these are the imprints of, the yellow journalism. Like they are saying, if you see the banner headlines or the colored comics, these are somehow the examples of it. And television and internet is following the same practice. And we even can see in today's time, in present time, the practices of this. They're saying this is a term which actually has started from America, and the Associated Papers that present little or no legitimate, well-researched news, while instead using eye-catching headlines for increasing sales. So basically, it was done to increase the sales. They were doing it because they were thinking of that with help of this, they can increase the sales. This exaggerate news events, scandals, mongering, all these things, those words I can say this thing, the scandals, or these it has come because to increase the sales. Because once the reader will see the word scandal somewhere, he would tend to read that. So that is how we can say this thing. This was the term which was actually making the news sensation. But they're saying there are few people, those who are using it without thinking, and they're using it unprofessionally and unethically just to increase the sales, which is wrong. So by following the same from US, even this has started in UK as well. But the terms were little different in UK. They have said that in UK there was equivalent, roughly equivalent term which was called as tabloid journalism. Uh, there are other languages like Russia. They are saying they have also, derived these things from America, and they were also practicing yellow journalism or the tabloid journalism in their countries. Sometimes have these a common source of writing this of these things are called checkbook journalism. They're saying, what do you mean by checkbox journalism? They're saying when somebody will publish the controversial practice of news reporters paying sources for that information without verifying its truth or accuracy. So that is called as checkbox journalism. So this can come to you in 2 marks question. What is checkbox journalism? What is tabloid journalism? What is yellow journalism? So there are three terms you should keep into your mind. In the US, it is generally considered unethical, with most mainstream newspapers and news shows having a policy forbidding it. Contrast tabloid newspapers and tabloid television shows, which rely more on sensationalism, regularly engage in the practice. They have said that the good newspapers, a lot of good newspapers, they have uh, decided unanimously that they would not publish any of the news just to make it sensational. But in contrast to, they are saying there are still few newspapers and television shows, those who are believing on tabloid, theory, and they were relying more on the sensational, uh, newses, and they were regularly engaging themselves into that practice of yellow journalism. So, what are the characteristics of yellow journalism? They are saying there are basically five main characteristics of yellow journalism. They are based on scare headlines in huge print, often of minor newses. So, the headlines, it should be very catchy. You can scare the people. You can make it sensational so that people will read it. Lavish use of pictures or imaginary drawings. So even we are seeing these days, but if we talk about, if we take the example of in their time, publishing pictures were not very famous, but yellow journalism has promoted it. Use of faked interviews, misleading headlines, pseudoscience, and a parade of false learning from so-called experts. So means to say that they are saying this is the third characteristic. Means when you create something from your own, something it has not happened. You must have heard of in these days. Sometime reports are created. These are not happened. Okay. So there's example or the definition of pseudoscience. They are saying what is pseudoscience? It consists of statements, beliefs, practices that are claimed to be both scientific and factual, but are incompatible with the scientific method. So again, in nutshell, it means false news. Okay. So they're saying use of the fake interviews or fake news is you just try to impress your readership. Emphasis on full color Sunday supplements, usually with comic strips. This is very famous even these days, I would say that. In India, I would say that especially. We have a very special separate edition that is called as Sunday edition, in which you must have seen full color Sunday supplement. So that is the fourth characteristic of yellow journalism. Dramatic sympathy with the underdog against the system. Dramatic sympathy. So they're saying uh, you are creating sympathy for something. You don't have it, but you're creating dramatic sympathy for something, and you try to sell that sympathy in your readership, so that people get uh, influenced, and they try to read news related to it. For example, sympathy related to Sushant Rajput case. It's a clear case. What it has happened. The media was totally into creating the dramatic sympathy. So these are the five main characteristics of yellow journalism. Now they're saying etymology and early usage. We just have read about it, like what is the early usage. This was between two newspapers, and then it went to England. They have given example of yellow or the tabloid journalism or the checkbox journalism they have given. Let's see more detail about of the New York Press. They said that Wardman was the first to publish the term, but there is evidence that expressions such as yellow journalism and school of yellow kid journalism were already used by newsmen of that time. Wardman never defined the term exactly. Possible it was a mutation from earlier slander where Wardman twisted new journalism into new journalism. Wardman had also used the expression yellow kid journalism referring to then popular comic strip, which was published by both Pulitzer and Hearts during the Circulation War. So in 98, the paper simply elaborated. We call them yellow because they are yellow. So there were a lot many things it has included. Nude journalism was part of it. Then yellow kid journalism was part of it. Means writing comics and all to increase your readership, putting up that into your paper. Although the result is that this was going on between two of the newspapers. Now, what is the impact? The first impact they are showing over here, that is they are saying propaganda of the Spanish American War. So somehow historians they are alleging that Pulitzer and Hearst both were responsible for the Spanish American War because they were writing sensational news stories, and they were exaggerating the terrible conditions in Cuba. However, the majority of Americans did not live in New York City. So what it happens, what they're trying to say means people, whatever people read, they feel that. So these newspapers with the usage of yellow journalism has actually been the cause of Spanish-American War, and those conditions which has happened in Cuba, which is a Spanish, country. This happened because of, historians, they made allegations that this was the reason of this, because they were distorting the news, they were presenting the things in a very exaggerated ways. So that is how it had become the cause of that. They're saying by now it has become rampant, has taken the form of an epidemic, spreading widely in media circles in India also. So I gave you examples in India. This yellow journalism has also been widely you know prevailed. It is widespread over here. Instances are, they are saying, the live coverage of Taj Mumbai terror attack at the cost of national security issues. Extensive coverage of Arushi murder case at the cost of breach of privacy law. Extensive coverage of Nirbhaya rape case issue at the cost of conducting a media trial and prejudice to the accused, and the list is endless. So there are three clear cases in front of you: Taj Mumbai terror attack, Arushi murder case, Nirbhaya rape case. So media has made these news sensational. They sensationalized it. They created dramatic sympathy. They were making headlines. So all the five features they were using just to increase the sales. People died in the live terror attack because terrorists, they were getting the information from TV that what planning India is making. So at the cost of breaching the national security. So they continuously shown those newses on TV, and it has become a very hard task for Indian security forces to tackle with them, because they were getting every information, and in that period, lot many innocent people they died. Extensive coverage of Arushi murder case. Media in that case, just to increase its sales, increase the what do you call publicity, they have declared, they have become judges, courts, they have declared that these are the culprits. So that was again the breach of privacy laws. They made people against that these are the culprits. Even there was no clear evidence against them. In Nirbhaya case, everything is in front of you. So these are the clear cases of what we call yellow journalism in India. In Article 19, in state of Uttar Pradesh versus Raj Narayan, Supreme Court of India held the Article 19 in addition to guaranteeing freedom of speech and expression, guaranteeing the rights to receive information on matters concerning public interest. So what they are saying, they are taking over advantage of it. Instead of showing the real issues, some of the news channels, just to increase their sales, they are using the help, or they're taking the help of yellow journalism. They're saying, instead of talking about economic condition of a country, something which is in public interest, there are special shows run for 1 hour on TV talking about, like, Simmer has reincarnated as a housefly. So we can say, like, this is what it is happening. So there are other examples. There's like the radio tapes, which has even shown or breached some of the, right to privacy law. We can say this thing. So then Supreme Court is saying that citizen of India has a fundamental right to safeguard the privacy of his own, his family, marriage, motherhood, procreation, childbearing, and education, everything. So nobody has got a permission to break these things. Sometimes they are saying just To make their news more catchy, they print those things. Media is termed as a fourth pillar of Indian democracy, so it should have the responsibility along with it. So they should take care of while publishing the news. But due to politics, some of the politicians, they have even the major stakeholders in the news channels or the newspapers. So they are using them as a source of promotion of their party and defamation of other parties. Okay, so that's very important for being the journalists. We should take care of these things and only emphasize on the real issues, not on the issues which are actually created. That is the end of today's lecture. Yellow Gems. You have got any of the questions, so you can ask. Any question, Ella?